What was the most traumatic part of your childhood? I love these ones. Which is
Just go right into
trauma
it.
childhood, but that's so interesting.
It is so interesting. So I was really, really fortunate. Like, my childhood, for the most part, was like storybook, just like wonderful parents and wonderful siblings and just like a wonderful, magical childhood.
It looked like that just from like your
was-
YouTube videos back in the day.
Yeah, it was just, I'm so grateful. I think the blip in it was when I was a freshman in high school.
How old are you then, just for my British
So I
brain?
think probably like 13 or 14,
Okay.
around there. My mom, she like, and my memories around this are very vague, I think because I blocked a lot of them out because I was very, freaked out by everything. But she like wasn't feeling well, and I remember her being in the hospital for a couple days, like her stomach hurt, and we didn't know what was happening. And then, so it turns out she had a very rare blood disease called polycythemia vera, and I actually don't remember if this is correct. I don't remember there being a whole lot of debriefing within my family about
Right.
it. I remember my dad sitting my sisters and I down and telling us, and I could tell that he was very emotional, and the fact that he was scared
made
me
like,
very
what the fuck?
scared. And then I don't remember talking about it a lot, but I had the internet, and so I started Googling and learning how like this can turn into leukemia at any point, and that it's like cancer, and I'm like, it was so scary. And so I felt like I could lose my mom at any point. And then I also think I was too afraid to like talk about it. And so I remember my mom coming home and just like life resumed. And I think so it was like a 2-part trauma here. One was like learning that my mom was sick and worrying that she might die. And then this like overwhelming guilt that like I was so afraid and so scared, and I didn't tell her anything because I just like was afraid to bring it up. And I think that just kind of like rotted in me for a lot of years, this fear and guilt, and like knowing that my mom must be so scared, like she could die. And no, we weren't talking about her, and I wasn't like throwing myself on her and being like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was really, it was hard. I actually didn't really, really start talking to people about it until I met Jesse when I was 16.
Wow.
And I remember just like starting to talk about it and then just like bursting into tears. And I was like that anytime I talked about it until I was like in my early 20s because it was so unprocessed. And I remember this like guy in the music industry once, someone was like, this guy will listen to your demos and he'll like tell you if you're good or not. And I had a meeting with him and he's like, no, you're great, but I feel like you're afraid to actually say what you want to say, and I feel like there's something you need to write about.
Wow.
That you're afraid to write about, so go write the thing you're afraid to write.
In that moment, were you like, your gut was just like, crap?
Yeah, I was like,
know what this
no, why are you making me
Yeah.
do this?
Yeah.
But then I wrote a song called Make It Go.
I remember that. I
for
think I covered
you
it.
did, and it was so beautiful.
But it was so sad.
Yeah.
I remember crying my eyes out hearing that for the first time.
Oh, it was, and so I feel like that was the first time through a song that I said to my mom, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I've been scared, and I think about it, like, every day,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry I didn't say anything sooner.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I feel like that kind of opened it up, but...
Did she ever, like, did she listen to that song and talk to you about it?
I know that I wish I remembered. I should ask her. I sent it to her. And I do believe it was acknowledged. But I
Right.
think at the time I was still kind of too afraid to even be
Yeah.
like, okay, great. Well, now let's talk about it. It was
Yeah.
like, okay, you know that?
Yeah,
Then,
you know how I feel.
Yeah.
And what about your sisters then? What were their impressions of what was going on? Were they just as kind of scared and in the dark about what was kind of going on?
I think so. And we're talking about it more recently. We didn't talk either.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk?
We did not talk. Like, everyone went and started having their private experience of it and worrying in their own ways. And yeah,
Man. And
weird.
how is your mum now? Is she okay?
She's so healthy now. She is still needing to take this drug called interferon. She gets injections, but she's like, her blood panels are like perfect now.
Oh,
And it's-
hallelujah.
Yeah, it's
Man.
just amazing. You realize how important it is to get emotions out of your body. And I think so many of us spend life being like, it will be better if I don't burden the world with it. Also, maybe it's like scary to let it out. So just like keep it in and keep it tidy. But it
eats
eats
away.
you. Like,
Yeah.
it makes you sick. And so now I'm of the belief that, like, you should cry all the time.
Yeah, well, now you've gone from
Yeah.
like not talking to anyone about it to being like able to talk about it online and write songs about it and talk to your friends about it. Like, that's a glow up if I've ever heard one.
It feels very good to be able to do.
So how did that like affect your view of death and like dying? Because you've got a massive fear of, I mean, we all have
Yeah.
a fear of losing someone, but
Yeah.
did that just kind of push you over the edge?
I imagine it didn't help matters.
Yeah.
You know, I remember as a kid, I remember going to bed at night and just like crying, realizing that I was going to lose my parents someday. And it felt like impossible, and I didn't want it to happen. I remember asking my dad, like, do you think there's any way someday before we're all dead that they'll have invented something that'll let us live forever? And my dad kind of being like, you know,
No.
maybe not. Like, this is part of life.
Yeah.
And it just felt so unbearably sad to me. And so I went through my life with that fear of losing, especially my parents. And then when it also like feels fake, though. It feels like the worst thing, but you're like, but it's not going to happen, or it's going to happen when I'm so old.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, and you're like in high school and you're just like thinking about dumb, you know,
Yeah. Just
teenage
yeah.
things. And suddenly it's like that moment could be now was so alarming.
And as well, I guess if you had that fear as a kid, and then you kind of knew something was going on, but like it wasn't like actually specifically said what it was, or nothing was kind of like black and white, it was just this grey area. I can imagine that fear just like growing there, like just festering, getting bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
especially with no talking about it or not knowing like what could happen. Naturally your brain would go, oh, well, she literally could die tomorrow, because you've already got that
really,
fear.
Totally. It just exacerbates it and gets worse and worse and worse.
And